Joining us now is Andrew McCarthy, former Chief Assistant United States Attorney in the Southern District of New York. He worked in that office for 18 years. He knows it well. He's also a National Review contributing editor, Fox Business contributor. Andy, great to see you. Let's start with this relationship among the special counsel attorneys, the Southern District of New York, the Manhattan DA. This looks like a network of hack left-wing attorneys at various levels of government who are working to assail the President of the United States, not to bring anyone to justice.
Well, I think, Lou, that you do have different groups of lawyers who are certainly have their sights set on the president. I think that the Mueller investigation is continuing to look at collusion and obstruction of justice. The Southern District of New York investigation is clearly targeting the president in connection with campaign finance violations.
You're talking about with Michael Cohen. But the very simple matter is, you have noted this in your columns, Michael Cohen's crimes are his, not the president's. There is no culpability of any kind, against the president. That was a construction of a hyperbolic group of attorneys attacking the president through his once attorney. I mean, why can't people be straight about this?
If I may on that,
sure.
Look, there are two campaign finance alleged offenses to which Cohen pled guilty and in which he has implicated the president at the behest of the Southern District. It was not necessary.
When you say
for
implicated,
them to,
that word means a lot of things. To attorneys, one thing, and to the rest of us, the great unwashed.
Lou, I don't want to.
I'm not sure what it means.
I'm not looking to hide. What they're saying here is that there's a conspiratorial relationship in violation of a criminal law between Cohen and Trump. And what I am saying is it remains to be seen whether this was actually a crime or not, even if it happened the way Cohen did. I was quite surprised just a few minutes ago watching Judge Napolitano on the program right before yours say a federal judge had ruled that this was a campaign finance violation. That's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
What happened was the Southern District charged what is very dubiously alleged to be an in-kind campaign finance donation, and Cohen elected, I think for strategic reasons, to plead guilty to that charge without challenging the underlying question, which is a profound legal question about whether it actually is an in-kind contribution or not. The judge didn't rule on that.
Right.
Cohen never charged it. When a person pleads guilty in federal court, that doesn't mean that the judge has blessed every single or has ruled in the government's favor on every single conceivable objection that somebody might make to that. What happened here is the judge accepted the guilty plea, but that is not binding on President Trump. So were he ever to be charged, he would have the ability and the opportunity to argue that this is not an in-kind campaign contribution.
You're talking about, when you say he, you're talking about, with that impersonal pronoun, you're talking about the president. Right.
Right.
But again,
in other words, Cohen's concession on this point is not binding on the president in any way.
Right.
And the media is going to continue to say again and again, and a number of other commentators are saying that there's a crime here and Trump is implicated in it. And what I'm saying is the fact that Cohen chose to plead guilty to this allegation does not establish for all purposes that it's a crime.
And what you are articulating is precisely why I raised my concern about the use of the word implicate as to the president, because implicate him in what? In what role? And how could Michael Cohen have any such presumption that he could do so? Only at the behest, as you noted, of the special counsel in the Southern District of New York would he be asked to do so. It's showing you what if I'm going to go down a legal rat hole with anyone, I want it to be with your guidance, I assure you, Andy McCarthy. But this is such a straightforward, to me, as a layman, it is such a straightforward, preposterous, absurd, and I think villainous attempt on the part of prosecutors in the Southern District, the Mueller team, perhaps as well the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We know that the Attorney General of New York is now going to join in what is a mob rule in our Justice Department, it seems to me. Can you give us your insight as to why we should tolerate such a network of partisan, legal prosecutors in 3 levels of government going after a sitting president without any basis?
Well, let's start with where we're at. The president hasn't been charged with anything by anyone yet. And in terms
he was
of when
charged
we talk about
in a sense, if I may, Andy, he was charged with collusion. That charge has since been ultimately, it's either been removed of its own weight from the charter for this special counsel, but now moving on to all sorts of absurd abstractions and possibilities and hypotheticals. And frankly, it's a tiresome, tedious task that we have to witness when we should be, it seems to me, whether you're a U.S. attorney, whether you're the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, you should be saying, end it.
Yeah, well, I think, Lou, as you know, my objection to this at the beginning was that the Justice Department owed it to the president and, frankly, to the country to identify a crime that the special counsel was being authorized to investigate. Right. And to my mind, the crime at the beginning was this allegation of a cyber espionage conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin. Yeah. Once it became clear that they didn't have the evidence of that, I think the investigation should have been shut down in the criminal sense. It's perfectly fine if the FBI wants to do an investigation of Russia's threat to the United States election system. That's something that ought to be done. That's what we have an FBI for.
There's not even been a commission.
As far as a criminal investigation.
There's not even been a commission to examine
as far as a criminal investigation is concerned, once they don't have evidence of the crime that was the rationale for opening the investigation, then the investigation should end. And in a normal prosecutor's office, you don't have time to keep investigating if you don't find a crime. If you don't find a crime in the case that's assigned, you close the case and move on to the next case.
But of course, if the person who has recommended firing the FBI director is also the Deputy Attorney General of the Justice Department, and he decides at the behest of a Democratic senator and a Democratic, democratically constructed fraud around a FISA warrant, he decides of his own independent judgment to go with a special prosecutor and refuses to recuse him, in which he is a witness, in which he is a prosecutor. I mean, my God, how rank and rancid the corruption in one place. Then that's the Deputy Attorney General's office of the United States Justice Department. Do you not agree?
Well, but I also think that the president's the head of the executive branch. So if the president actually thinks that what went on here with Rosenstein is corrupt, then he should fire Rosenstein. And people will hem and haw and scream obstruction about that. But he should look the American people in the eye and say, look, this is what I found. This is what I believe happened here. And I'm willing to be judged on that. Yeah, but he's got to run the executive branch.
Yeah, he does have to run the executive branch. And you and I both know that if he made that decision, it would not be a legal decision per se. It would be viewed as we've just been quoting and showing you the video and listening to the sound bites of the left-wing media with their hair on fire over an absolutely contrived absurdity, nothing but an artifice, for another word, which is a corrupt media. Andy, we could continue this. As I say, it's been an interesting voyage down that rabbit hole. And when we emerge again, I hope it will be soon. Thanks again for joining us with your insights. Appreciate it.